Hello, this is the Molecast. We are two Molemen. This is Dylan. I am Kev, and today we are going to be playing X-Wing. X-Wing miniatures.
At
The Nexus!
But we're not going to open this one. Here's one we prepared for you earlier. So, Kevin, would you like to take us in?
Alright, X-Wing is a game of miniatures and starfighting. We are going to kill each other with lasers. I am in the Millennium Falcon with Han Solo. Dylan is in some Imperial stuff.
I have an Academy pilot in a TIE fighter, an Academy pilot in a TIE fighter, and then an Ace in a TIE Advanced X1. Darth Vader's ship for all of you that haven't played the game before.
First thing to remember is we set up our obstacles on our board. We've done this earlier, there's no need to see it. Movement happens at initiative skill. We move from lowest to highest and shoot from highest to lowest. Dylan's initiatives are 1s and a 3. My ship is a 6. So Dylan will be moving first and then I will be moving. In order to move, we use a maneuver template. We take this dial, we secretly select a maneuver, which we will then represent with a template. The template will be placed on the ship in the little guide here, and we'll move the ship like so. We'll get to shooting in a moment, but those are the basic ideas.
So, the first stage of any turn is assigning your dials. So what Kevin and myself are going to do is we're going to have a look at our dials first. And when we move on to the next phase, I'll let you know what that is. So Kevin, if you don't mind. At this point, we've now assigned our dials. You check with your opponent, just be polite and check if they are done with their dials. So Kevin, are you done dialing?
I am finished.
And that brings us on to movement, which means lowest pilot skill goes first. Well, initiative I believe it is. So in this case, my Academy pilots, I can choose either or. But also in this game, another thing that has come into play is I have initiative. What happened off camera is Kevin and myself, we rolled a red dice to find out if we had hits or misses and who would place an obstacle first, and in the case of having the same initiatives on your pilot, who would move their ships first. In this game it doesn't really matter, but in other games it might. So in this case I'm going to move my Academy pilot first, and he is going to go 5 straight forward. My other Academy pilot, in no big surprise.
Action.
Oh, sorry, yes, I forget to do an action.
Once you have moved your ship,
Thank you.
that ship may perform an action. The actions are represented on the card, which you'll see here.
He is going
Actions.
to evade. Sorry, Kevin.
Actions can be a focus action, which changes I results into either evade results or hit results, depending on if you're defending or attacking. You get an evade result, which Dylan has just done now. That can change a green die into an evade result. This will all become clear as soon as we start shooting at each other. There are several other actions that can be performed. We'll explain those as we get to them.
Indeed. So at this point I'm going to move my other Academy TIE pilot, who's also going to go 5 straight forward. And I hope he gets past that rock, because I didn't actually check. And he quite happily makes it. He is also going to evade. Let me just find the token. And now we move on to the next initiative. It is going to be the pilot skill 3 guy, who's also going to go 5 straight forward and evade. Not evade, he doesn't have that action. He is going to focus. And then it moves on to Kevin's turn.
Alright, for my turn, I will be doing a 3 straight forward. Incredibly imaginative. I will be performing a red action. Certain actions are marked on your card as red. These are seen as stressful and give you hull stress, represented by a token. So I'm going to do the red maneuver of boost, which is a 1 maneuver forward. I'm going to actually do left boost. I'm not sure if I fit now. It'll do. Not the best maneuver.
Himself in front of a rock.
Not the best
explain what happens
maneuver.
with the rock shortly when Kevin moves over it.
Well, that was a massive oversight. True story.
Well,
because that is stressful, my ship receives a stress token. I may now not perform red maneuvers, which are stressful, and in my next turn, the only way to clear a stress token would be to perform a blue maneuver, thus clearing my stress. You cannot perform actions while you are stressed. No action for me, or although I've already done one.
which brings us on to the next phase, which is I like to call the pew-pew phase, but it is the shooting phase. At this point, we work in reverse initiative order. So Kevin at pilot skill 6 will shoot first. Kevin?
I will indeed. In order to shoot, we first need to discover if there is anybody in the firing arc. I have a handy laser, which helps me do this. You line that up on the side, and we can see that we've got the Storm Squadron, as well as that Academy pilot are in my arc. Next thing we need to check is, are they within range? I'm going to shoot something at range 1 to 3.
We also have very handy different measurements.
This Academy pilot, although in my arc, is far, far too far away. He is well beyond range 3. The Storm Squadron pilot, however, is at range 3. It is not obstructed. Now, in order to shoot,
Kevin?
obstruction would be shooting through an obstacle. For example, an asteroid, which, once again, next turn will see me ride over one, and we'll see how that pans out for me. I'm also stressed, which makes my life even harder. I will now take my red dice to shoot at Storm Squadron. This ship in particular has got a turret. It shoots forwards or backwards and
cool.
can rotate, rotating the firing arc. My turret is currently facing forward. You are in my firing arc. I have an attack value of 3 red dice. I will roll these dice and attempt to hit either hits or critical hits. Critical hits. This will strip off the shield value from Dylan's ships and go down to his hull value, represented by the yellow number. Once a ship's hull value reaches 0, said ship is destroyed. Hooray, you may have won the game. You may have more to do.
On my side of the table, I have 3 green dice as indicated on the card that you see now on your screen, and I am looking for either an eye result or an evade result. The reason why I want a focus or an evade result is I have a focus token, but because I am at range 3, I get an extra bonus and I get to roll a 4th dice.
It's harder to hit things that are further away.
True story, especially in space because we move really quickly. So, Kevin?
Alright, let's try it out. Okay. However, I have received 2 hits. I have no focus tokens. I do not have a target lock. However, Han Solo has the ability that at range 0 to 1, range 1 of an obstacle, he may re-roll any or all of his dice, which I will be doing with this blank. It's still blank. Hooray! So, Dylan, 2 hits.
I now need to roll my 4 dice and hopefully beat Kevin's result, which I do because I roll 2 evades, a focus, and a blank. So my 2 evades will cancel out Kevin's 2 hits.
Alright, so that was a missed opportunity. Or an evaded opportunity, should I say.
And it is now my turn to capitalize. So my Storm Squadron pilot is at range 3, as Kevin has already measured. He is in my arc. I do not need to check that because he is right in front of me. Unfortunately, that means that Kevin takes an extra die and I only roll 2 red dice doing the same thing.
The Millennium Falcon has 1 natural evade dice, which means I get a 2nd die for range.
So hopefully we can blow it up. And I too will roll 2 hit results.
I get a focus result, a blank result. I unfortunately have no tokens of any kind, aside from a stress token, to make any modifications.
However, we know this won't kill the Millennium Falcon, it's worse.
The Millennium Falcon has a shield value of 5, so he takes 2 on the shield. No cards from the damage deck dealt, as nothing is going onto the ship's hull.
And now we can move on to the next in the initiative order, which would happen to be my Academy pilots. This Academy pilot, thankfully, Kevin measured earlier and measured that he is outside of range 3, so I do not have a shot. However, this guy is definitely within arc because Kevin falls within my green triangle in front, and we're going to measure the closest in arc to closest in arc, which is range 3, so Kevin will still get his extra die. And I, once again, roll 2 of the red ones. And I'll get 1 hit result.
Right.
Ooh.
1 evade.
And Kevin
It's enough.
will quite easily go whoosh. That will bring us to the end phase, which means we clear all green tokens, or round tokens if I'm not mistaken. And the stress still stays, target locks and items like that, which we'll get to shortly, they still stay. And we once again go to maneuvers and move our dials to what we want them to be.
Indeed. What I would be looking for is a blue maneuver to clear my stress should I choose. I may not choose a red maneuver. I am also in front of a rock. I will reveal a bank 2. This is a blue maneuver and thus clears the stress token. I am, however, going to be going straight over this rock.
When Kevin goes over a rock, if his maneuver template at any point crosses over it, he unfortunately loses his action and has to roll 1 of the red die to see if he takes a hit or a crit result.
I've also managed to park myself on the rock, and as such, I don't get a chance to shoot this round. So first of all, it does in fact hurt. I take another damage on the shield.
That is unfortunate, Kevin. I'm very sorry.
Okay.
Not really, because the Empire wants to win here. Unfortunately, it now brings us, for Kevin, it brings us to our shooting turn. And it means that Kevin can't shoot because he's on a rock, which brings it to my Storm Squadron Ace, which is now at range 1. At range 1, instead of Kevin getting an extra dice like he normally would at range 3, I get an extra dice because, well, I'm closer, and it's a lot easier to hit something when you're closer because you can put more bullets into it. Well, lasers into it in this case. Oh, good news, Kevin, I only hit once and I have no tokens to modify my dice.
Live! I live!
Kevin manages to evade, unfortunately. This brings it to my pilot skill 1s. Now we have to check range on that guy at the back because I'd like him to shoot first. I think this is at range 2 in my arc, which it is. So I will roll 2 dice at Kevin.
Very good.
2 hits.
Ouchies. Live! 2 hits.
Can't let these rebels escape. They blew up the Death Star after all.
Okay, I'm now down to no shield.
That is good news for me because now, once Kevin starts taking damage, he will start applying damage from his damage deck. Normal damage is applied with a face down card and counts as 1. If you take a critical hit, you take a face up card, read it, do whatever the card says. Hopefully I'll be able to give you an example fairly shortly. So Kevin, I believe I am in range 1 in arc. So because my TIE Fighter normally has 2 and I am at range 1, I roll 3 red dice. I'm having very good luck playing at the Nexus today, it's quite So I will hit you twice, Kevin.
I will evade 1.
So Kevin will take 1 face down damage card.
I am currently on 7 hull remaining.
So it's still an uphill battle for me.
That is end of round?
Yes, so I now need to clear my tokens. And we can now perform our maneuvers once more. Now it brings us on to the shooting portion of this turn. And Kevin gets to go first, and this time he can shoot.
Once again, we'll check for range first. Oops.
Range 2,
2,
which means I will get my standard 3 dice without any bonus.
or we could take a range 3 shot at the Storm Squadron.
Which means I will get 3 dice plus a bonus of 1 for range 3.
Alright, so we'll take the range 2.
Smart choice,
I
Kevin.
get my native 3 dice. A hit crit.
Great hit! Don't get cocky!
Unfortunately, unlike Kevin's ship, my TIE fighters don't have shields, so if I take these, I have the potential to die because a TIE fighter only has 3 hull points. So this might very well be a dead TIE fighter. I will evade 2 of those, and how this will work is I will remove the crit results from Kevin's dice pool. Sorry, the hit results from Kevin's dice pool first, and then take a critical result. That was so close, so close.
Face-up damage.
I receive a stunned pilot card. After you execute a maneuver, if you move through or overlapped an obstacle, suffer 1 damage. So if I end up hitting any one of these rocks, I unfortunately will automatically gain 1 damage. And that will go on number 32, I believe.
Yes.
Which is this guy over here. Now I get to shoot back. Unfortunately, I know he does not have arc, and I know he does not have arc because they're facing the wrong way. This guy does have arc because Kevin quite clearly falls between in my green triangle, and he's at range 3 as we measured earlier. So that means I get to roll my 2 dice once more. That is a hit for you, Kevin.
Okay, I get my 1 natural as indicated on the card, and my 1 for range. I will evade that.
Unfortunately, I don't do very much this turn. So now we clear our tokens once more. The stress token will stay, and back to maneuvers, Kevin. So, to explain a target lock before we get too far into the shooting phase. A target lock is used to reroll any or all of your attack dice against the ship that you have target locked. And this is why I have marked both my Storm Squadron Ace in these TIE Advanced X1 and the Millennium Falcon with tokens to remind me that my Storm Squadron Ace has a target lock on the Millennium Falcon. Kevin, you may go first because you have the higher initiative.
Indeed. Alright, let's have a look for range here. I cannot shoot the Academy pilot right in front of me, touching me because he is touching me. So, he's out. He is what is referred to as range 0. So let me shoot. See, I've got a range 1 at the TIE X1 or a range 2 at the other TIE fighter. Given that I will get the extra attack die,
and I will not get an extra defense die,
I will be attacking the Storm Squadron Ace. Alright, Han Solo, as the ability we saw earlier, I am at range 0 to 1 of an obstacle and may therefore reroll this die. There's a focus that does not help me at all.
that is 3 hits.
3 hits to Dylan.
That
3
is
hits
indeed
to Dylan.
3 hits. What that does is it takes off 2 shields, and I take 1 face down damage card on the Storm Squadron Ace. Storm Squadron Ace starts out with 2 shields and 3 hull, so that means Kevin has done something very important and half-pointed my ship, which means he gets half points if he doesn't manage to kill it at the end of the game. Whew, Kevin, that was intense. However, it now brings it to my Storm Squadron Ace, who is at range 1, has a target lock so he can reroll any or all of his red dice. But he has a special ability on his card. Let me read that for you now. Advanced Targeting Computer. While you perform a primary attack against a defender you have locked, roll 1 additional attack die and change 1 hit result to a crit result. What that means is the ship usually has 2 dice. Because I have the target lock on the Millennium Falcon, I will get 3 dice. And because I am at range 1, I can move that up to 4 dice. And at any point, I can change any hit result, well, one of my hit results, to a crit result. So let's see if I can finally get some good damage on that Millennium Falcon. But before I roll, let me tell you my other secret in my pocket. I also have a fire control system. A fire control system says that when I have a target lock on an opponent, while I perform an attack, if you have a lock on the defender, you may reroll one attack die. If you do, you cannot spend your lock during this turn. So if I use that ability, I will not be able to spend the target lock to reroll any more of my dice. So let's see how this goes. I will roll 3 hits and a blank. So I'm going to use my fire control system, because I have a lock with the Millennium Falcon, to reroll one of my die. And that is 4 hits, but before Kevin gets to roll his dice, I get to modify. So what that means is, because of my advanced targeting computer and my lock on the Millennium Falcon, I get to change one of my hits into a crit result. So Kevin is trying to evade 3 hits and 1 critical hit.
With 1 green die. That misses.
So Kevin will take 3 face down.
So 1, 2, 3.
And 1 face up.
Critical is structural damage. While you defend, roll 1 fewer defense die. Fan-bloody-tastic.
I'm happy about it.
However, that brings us to your
my initiative ones. The problem here is I have the same problem as Kevin does. This Academy pilot can't shoot because, well, he's too busy avoiding the Millennium Falcon itself. So I'm going to use the one at the back over there. And Kevin, do you mind checking range for me?
It is range 2, I checked earlier.
Thank you. It is an arc, so here we go. 2 dice.
Due to my critical damage, I am rolling no defense.
Kevin will then take a critical hit.
It is a console fire. Before you engage, roll 1 attack die. On a hit result, suffer 1 hit damage. I can repair this card as an action. So spending my action instead of focusing or evading, for instance, I would then flip this card face over. This brings us to the end phase.
Which means I'm going to clear my tokens.
Good for you.
The target lock stays.
Now, in much the same way that Dylan had his fire control system hijinks, I have got Chewbacca on my ship, where I may spend 2 charges in order to repair a face-up damage card. I am going to use this opportunity to repair the structural damage. I like to have at least 1 green die. So,
very good choice.
I do still have a console fire. Before I engage, I would need to roll a die. I am currently... The Millennium Falcon is very damaged at this stage, down
Have
to
I
2
taken
health.
half points?
You have.
Good news for me. At this point, we go back to dialing in our maneuvers.
Oh no!
Unfortunately, what happens is Kevin does complete the maneuver, which means he does turn around. However, he lands himself on a rock, which means he can't shoot and has to roll a red dice.
I also suffer 1 damage.
So he's now on 1 hull, and all of my ships get to shoot and Kevin does not.
How did I manage this? How did I fail to see this coming?
Everything is going to Imperial plans.
However, due to my critical damage, before I engage, which would be now, I must roll a red die. It is blank, so I
Kevin
do
doesn't
not suffer
take
a damage and I don't die quite yet.
However, my Storm Squadron Ace is hopefully going to change that right now. And he's going to take a range 3 shot at Kevin. He still has his target lock, which means instead of just the 2 dice, he gets to roll 3 because of his advanced targeting computer. So, Kevin, are you ready for me?
I am.
Phew! And I will get 3 hits. But because I have an advanced targeting computer, I will change one of those to a critical hit. Kevin, 2 hits and a crit, please.
I'm going to roll my pointless dice as I am dead. I suffer
1 hit. And
1 hit, 1 critical hit. It is a direct hit, so
Which
I
means that
suffer
Kevin
another damage.
and flips
Repair
it
that
first.
card. However, I have been defeated.
I hate you, Dylan. I hate you so goddamn much.
That was a lot of fun. Thank you for flying into the rocks, Kevin. It really helped. Thank you very much, Kevin. We are the Molemen. We've been playing at the Nexus. This is X-Wing. I hope to see you later.
Available at X-Wing. Available at the Nexus. Come into store, spend some money.
Share, like, and subscribe if you'd like to.